Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 13, verse 20. Prakritim Purusham Cheva Vidyanati Ubhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamscheva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature.
Text 21. Karya Karana Katartve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukha Dukhanam Bhokritve Heturuchyate.
Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyment in this world.
Text 22. Purusha Prakritisto Hi Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sangosya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu.
The living entity is material. In material nature, this follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various spaces.
Text 23. Upadrastanu Mantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti Chapyukto Dehesmin Purusha Paraha.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseas and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
Text 24. Yaevam Veti Purusham Prakritim Cha Gunai Saha Sarpata Vartamanopi Nasa Bhuyo Vijayate.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Text 25. Dhyanena mani pashyanti kechit atmanamatmana anyasankenya yogena karma yogena cha pare.
Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fictive desires.
Text 26. Anyatvam ajanantaha Shrutvanyeya upasate tepi chate charanteva mrityum shruti parayanaha.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Text 27. Yavat sanjayati kinchit Sattvam Stavara Jangamam Kshetranya Samyogat Tadvidi Bharatarshaba.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whenever you see in existence, both the moving and the non moving is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
Text 28. Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtatam Parameshwaram Vinashyatsu Avinashyantam Yapashyati Sapashyati.
One Is the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all the bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees.
Text 29. Samam Pashyan hi sarvatra samasvatit Ishwaram nahinasti atmanan manam tato yati param gatim.
One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
Text 30. Prakityaiva chakarmani kriyamanani sarvasaha yapachati tatatmanam akartaram sapashyati.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
Text 31. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Text 32. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sharirastopi konteya nakaroti nalipyate.
Those with a vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, or Arjuna, the soul neither does nothing nor is entangled.
Text 33. Yata sarvagatam samsmyad akasham napolipyate sarvatra vastito dehe tatatma napalipyate.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body.
Text 34. Yata prakashyati ekaha krishnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram shetri tata krishnam prakashyati bharata.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
Text 35. Kshetra kshetranya antaram yana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param.
Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for that wonderful recitation by both of you. That was very nicely recited. Thank you. I'm going to mute everybody because I can hear some background noises. Bear with me. So we are on to text 26 today. Anye tav evam ajananta shruta vanye bhaya upashate tepi chetarananti eva mrityum shruti parayana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Purport. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing because if the common man simply hears from the authoritative sources, he can progress, especially according to Lord Chaitanya. If he hears the transcendental vibration, everybody can chant with me behind the muted mics: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about the self realization and follow in his footsteps, one will gradually be elevated to the position of pure devotee. In this verse, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate, although the common man is often not as capable as so called philosophers. Faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back home, back to Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. So, just before we begin to discuss this beautiful verse, let's look at the link between the previous verse and this text. So, can one advance if he cannot meditate? That was a section which was discussed in the previous verse. Pursue Sankhya or practice Nishkam Karma Yoga. Sankhya means analytical study of the material creation, and Nishkam Karma Yoga means to trying to carry on your activity without the attachment to the results. So that's the link between these two verses. And the particular theme of of this verse is that bhakti is the easiest and the best path to understand this science of devotional service. Having been informed by Lord Krishna what are the various ways of elevating one to the spiritual consciousness, it's been concluded here that bhakti is the most easiest and the best path to understand the science of Krishna consciousness. So, this verse talks about those who, although not conversant with spiritual knowledge specifically, they began to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing Him from others. So, the essence of this purport and the verse is hearing. And because of tendency to hear, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So, first of all, there are people who are pious. Because of some piety, they somehow or other come in touch with Srila Prabhupada books or his devotees, and they begin to hear about the glories of devotional service or glories of the holy name. And as they hear, that tendency further develops, and they also then able to transcend the path of birth and death. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti taktava deham punarjanma neti mameti. So Arjuna. that, "O Krishna, O Arjuna, one who understands the nature of my appearance and disappear my appearance and my activities in this world, upon leaving his body he does not take his birth again." So in order to understand the transcendental appearance of the Lord, his qualities, his pastimes and paraphernalia, we need to hear. Just like, if you think, for example, when a boy or a girl meet together, yes, of course, we hear in the Bollywood love at first sight, but then Gaurgopal Prabhu also says divorce at first fight. But naturally, the way the love evolves or the relationship evolves is when we get to know about each other. And how do we know? By hearing, what is it this person likes? What does he like to eat? What does he like to wear? What does he like to do? What are his likings? And based upon hearing, we develop some attachment or inclination or what we could call infatuation towards a person. So the hearing is a very main aspect of our survival in this human body, for that matter, because especially for humans, we have been given these ears which are deep as an ocean, if we want to keep having the nectar coming into them actually. So somehow or other, we have been benedicted by this wonderful opportunity to hear. And somehow or other, if we can hear and keep our ears closer to the transcendental vibration, then our life will be successful. So the conclusion is, hearing with faith from authorities has a great potency. So when we hear, then really we are able to understand the message, and it penetrates into the heart, especially if we are hearing from the right source. That's a very important element. So let's look at some of the focus of learning from this particular purport of Srila Prabhupada. So this verse specially applies to the modern society. You remember the statement Prabhupada made, very beautiful statement, because in modern society there is practically no education in spiritual matters. We have often heard Prabhupada saying in his books, where is that college? Where is that institute which is teaching people the science of soul? Hardly there is one. But with devotees like Radhesham Prabhu, Sarup Damodar Maharaj, Prabhupada disciple who was a scientist, they've been able to create many Bhakti Vedanta institutes and many places like, Vidyapeeth and now Pune, so much of university, many Indias, abroad also university preaching is going on, whereby Prabhupada mercy, these matters are now being discussed. And of course, a lot to do with the distribution of Srila Prabhupada books as well. Some people appear atheistic, agnostic, or philosophically, but actually they have no knowledge of philosophy. So we find many people are able to articulate things nicely, they are able to speak nicely, they may be very passionate about a particular subject matter, but Prabhupada is saying, unfortunately, they have no knowledge of philosophy. If you uncover them and go deeper to their realization, they actually have no realization, because realization is based on reality. You see, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained that reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. That is called knowledge. That's called absolute knowledge. So, but most people, because the realization is not based on the reality or the absolute truth, they are quite empty inside. And to be able to speak something on a particular material subject matter, definitely one has to be blessed by Saraswati for that matter. But the main thing is, if you see and notice very carefully with these people, that they are very good. Even some very successful leaders, they speak about leadership, they talk about a lot around leadership. But when it comes to journal human behavior of really understanding the word of compassion, most of the world talks about compassion. I work in care home. One of our values in the care home is compassion. Like this, many there are care providers who talk about compassion. But when you're talking about compassion and you're serving meat on the plate to the elderlies in the care home, that is just a theoretical understanding. You're thinking you're looking after elderly, of course you are, there is some element of compassion there, but you're killing another living entity and serving it on a plate. You cannot be compassionate. So it's very important that we understand what true knowledge is. And what is that qualification is? Any common man, if he is a good soul, Prabhupada is saying good soul means somebody who has collected quite a bit of piety to now be able to hear. You see, from the life of Ajamil, which is a very nice example in sixth canto, Ajamil, of course, many people say, okay, like, Gaurang Prabhu shares this wonderful humor, and it'll probably make you a little bit laugh. One time Gaurang Prabhu was giving a lecture in a college or somewhere, and all sorts of youngsters was there. And one young guy who was fond of drinking, after the whole session, he got up and he said, "Oh, Prabhu, I love Ajamil." And then Gauranga Prabhu was so happy that, oh, there's somebody who's so convinced about, this story. And Prabhu said, "Why do you love Ajamil?" He said, "Puri zindagi life mein ash kiya, or death ke time pe he got the best thing. I love his lifestyle." So in English, I would translate. He said the whole life he had fun. He hanged around with prostitute. He did all kinds of sinful activities, and just at the moment of death, he was able to chant, Narayan. So Gauranga Prabhu said that was a very exceptional case, one in millions. It's not so easy. But even if we now carefully look at the pastime of Ajamil or his background, he was a very, very pious Brahmana. He was doing his duties based on Vedas, based on scriptures. In fact, for the first time, when he was asked by his father to go pick up the fruits and flowers from the forest or nearby garden, so that he can engage it in the devotional service or in the daily worship, when he went out and when he glanced at this prostitute who was completely drunk and her clothes were falling down, at the first sight he tried to he tried to refrain himself to look in that direction. And that is because he was such a pious person. But unfortunately, our senses are so strong, and Bhagavad Gita speaks about it. Krishna talks about it, that it's very, very difficult to control the senses, and mind is superior than the senses. So his mind was so much captivated that he could not help but to look there again. And then that became the cause of his very fall down. He started by contemplating on the object of senses, one develop attachments towards that. And from attachment, lust arises. And from lust, anger arises. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. So what is you can clearly see these things manifesting. And then he became so attached that he married her, he bought her home. All he could do is earn money, get stuff for her, buy things for her, buy alcohol for her, and that is all he did for so many years. But during his earlier ages, because he was such a pious Brahmana, he had developed some sukriti and piety. So when he for the first time chanted the name of Narayan, he was not only of that life, he was able to get rid of all the sinful reactions of previous many lives he had, whatever sinful reactions he had created. So that's why a pious background is quite essential to be able to come to the platform of to be able to hear pure devotional service or some glories about pure devotional service. And what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying he's stressing the importance of hearing, because simply hear from the authority, and especially hearing Hare Krishna mantra. This is the thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us. If you remember in one of my sessions when I was talking about book distribution, there were two primary teachings Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, among, of course, his Shikshastakam, but the essence of all those teaching were two things. What was the first thing? Can anybody remember that? Anyone? Okay, let's do an experiment. Everybody unmute yourself, please. So the first, when I say, you can repeat after me. The first teaching, or the essence of all the teachings Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us was chant Hare Krishna.
Chant.
Chant
Chant
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay, on the scale of 1 to 10, that was like a 4, dear devotees. So
Oh.
let's try to do it in a unison if we can. So when I say it, you repeat after that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, the essence of all the teachings, the first thing was chant Hare Krishna.
Chant
Chant
Hare
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 Krishna.
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
That's about 7 now. We're getting there. So so let's try one more time. Chant Hare Krishna.
Chant
Chant
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Chant Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Chant Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Great, we're getting there now. That's about 9. Well done. The second thing was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, teach others.
Teach
Teach
others.
others.
Okay, so now I'm going to say one and you will say the other one. Chant Hare Krishna.
Teach others.
Teach others.
Teach others.
Chant Krishna.
Chant Hare Krishna.
Teach
Teach
Others.
others.
Chant Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Chant Hare Krishna.
Teach
Others.
others.
Chant Hare Krishna.
Teach
Teach
others.
others.
Very good. That was 10 out of 10. Well done, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this wonderful process, chanting of Hare Krishna and teaching others. So when we are getting up in the morning and chanting our rounds, reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, hearing a lecture from Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters and other senior devotees, we are preparing our ground to teach others. That's why you see the book distribution or teaching others has to be based on our own sadhana. If we are not practicing at least with little bit of a sincerity, we will struggle to teach others. But if we are paying our attention and trying our best to practice our sadhana strongly, or even with some sincerity, then you will naturally feel inspired to go out to pick up the books, to pack the books, like all of you are doing now. Girish Prabhu and Shivani Mataji, they've opened their whole home. It's stocked up with like 5,000 books of Srila Prabhupada right now, and they're going to begin the in small way pack and do many other service. So many of you are doing so many things. So like this, we are able to engage because you have developed inclination to hear, which is part of your sadhana. So I want to congratulate all of you. I want to say thank you to all of you for dedicating your life to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada will be very pleased seeing your sincerity towards these two main things of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is chant Hare Krishna and
Teach others.
well done. Thank you so much. He also recommends, as per Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.3, that there is no need to change your position. Only give up the endeavor to know about the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. Bhakti Vinod Thakur say, Grehe Thako, Bane Thako. Grehe Thako, Bane Thako. What is that bhajan? I'm forgetting it. Sada Hari Bole Thako. So what is being recommended that whether we are staying at home, Grehe Thako, Bane Thako, or we go into one, or we take sannyas, main thing is to chant the names of Lord Hari. That's our prime duty, and learn to become servant of those in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So we have to take shelter of other devotees, other Vaishnavas, spiritual masters, and learn under their guidance. And then we will be able to develop this taste of hearing. Now, I want to conclude with very nice series of verses which are coming in Srimad Bhagavatam very beautifully. But before we do that, what is the benediction of one who's able to go through? If one takes advantage of hearing from a realized soul, he gradually understands everything. You see that then it becomes a science. Why does it becomes a science? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. When you render service to a devotee or to a spiritual master or to a sadhu, then what is happening? You're inquiring from him, you're becoming submissive by inquiring from him, and then that person is revealing the truth because that person has already seen the truth. So now the perfection of your knowledge is coming at its best through this process of knowledge and seva. That's why we are so much benedicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have just told us chant Hare Krishna. But because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew he wanted us to have the best, he wanted us to feel the bliss. That's why he gave us the second part, which is to teach others. Similarly, our acharyas are emphasizing on the same thing. So if we take advantage of hearing from the realized soul, we will gradually understand everything. And automatically it will lead us to the supreme worship of the Lord. And by good fortune, we take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him and follow his footsteps, and thus gradual elevation to pure devotional service will take place. Now, if I may kindly invite one devotee to read this process, which is a series of 5 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, starting with Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. That series of verses, very nicely spoken here. We have the association of Ajay Mukunda Prabhu today. So Prabhuji, would you be very kind to unmute yourself and read this beautiful explanation of those verses from Bhagavatam for us, Ajay Mukunda Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Oops,
To
sorry,
hear
Prabhu.
about
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures, or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita 1 to 17 to 21.
It's sorry, Prabhu. It's Bhagavatam. Yeah, thank you so much, Ajay Kundu Prabhu.
It is
So
Bhagavad.
this is the process given from starting from hearing and coming to the platform of bhav. That's the level of knowledge given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what happens in the beginning? You have to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or directly from Bhagavad Gita. That in itself will create a piety for us. And one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who's dwelling in our heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevya, who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from Bhagavatam and from devotee, he becomes fixed up. What is that verse from Bhagavatam? Shunvatam swa katha Krishna punya shravana kirtanat abhaya antrastoya badrani Vidhu noti surit satam. So by constantly hearing this message of Bhagavatam, which is so beautiful, suhirit, it's like the best kind of glories you can hear from the heart. By that, your mind becomes completely enlivened, by hearing about devotional service. And as one becomes freed from the modes of passion and tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha adaschaye, all these effects of mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, they all start to go away, and thus material lust, avarice are diminished. So one gets completely situated in a strong nishtha platform. And when these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position. He becomes a dhira. He is now completely Prabhupada used to use this word so much, fixed up. You must always be fixed up. So he becomes fixed up. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the heart knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of understanding of the absolute truth personality of Godhead. What a beautiful ending to understand how wonderful this hearing process is. Now, if I have your permission, I want to today try something. I want to share a video with all of you of Srila Prabhupada. That's why I thought let's finish at 8:20 and see if we can hear a direct words of Srila Prabhupada in 5 to 6 minutes of this video. Let me see if I can bring it away. Just bear with me. Oh, no, I don't want to. Bear with me. I wanted to do something before. Yeah. Okay. Ajay Mukunda Prabhu, let's do a test. When I play, could you let me know if the sound is coming or not of Srila Prabhupada? I'm going to do. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Did you hear the sound?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad it walked out by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So let's hear what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Please give your utmost attention for the next 6 minutes. Very, very profound words of Srila Prabhupada directly emanating from his lotus mouth.
every one of us, we are imperfect. We are very much proud of our eyes. Can you show me? What qualification your eyes have got that you can see? He does not think that I have no qualification, still I want to see. These eyes are dependent on so many conditions. Now there is electricity, you can see. As soon as there is electricity off, you cannot see. Then what is the value of your eyes? You cannot see what is going on beyond this wall. So don't believe your so-called senses as the source of knowledge. No. The source of knowledge should be by hearing. That is called Shruti. Therefore, Veda's name is Shruti. Shruti Pramana. Shruti Pramana. Just like a child or a boy wants to know who is his father. So what is the evidence? That evidence is Shruti, hearing from the mother. Mother says, he is your father. So he hears, he does not see how he became his father. Because before his body was constructed, the father was there, so how could he see? So by seeing, you cannot ascertain who is your father. You have to hear from the authority. The mother is the authority. Therefore, Shruti Pramana, the evidence is hearing, not by seeing. Seeing our imperfect eyes, there are so many obstacles. So similarly, by direct perception, you cannot have the truth. Direct personal speculation. Dr. Frog. Dr. Frog is speculating what is Atlantic Ocean. He is in the well, 3 feet well, and some friend informed me, oh, I have seen vast water. What is that vast water? Atlantic Ocean. Huh? How big it is? Very, very big. So the Dr. Frog is thinking, maybe 4 feet. This well is 3 feet, it may be 4 feet, all right, 5 feet. Come on, 10 feet. So in this way speculating, the frog, Dr. Frog will understand Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean. Can you estimate the length and breadth of the Atlantic Pacific Ocean by speculation? So by speculation you cannot have. They are speculating so many years about this universe. How many stars are there, what is the length and breadth, where is the... Nobody knows anything, even of the material world. And what to speak of the spiritual world, that is beyond, far beyond. Parastasmatu bhavanya bhaktya bhaktya sanatana, you'll find it, Bhagavad Gita. There is another nature. This nature, what you see, the sky, around dome, that above that, there are layers of 5 elements. Again, this is the covering. Just like you have seen the coconut, there is hard covering. And within the covering, there is water. Similarly, within this covering, and outside the covering, there are 5 layers, 1,000 times bigger than the one another. Water layer, air layer, fire layer. So you have to penetrate all these layers, then you will get the spiritual world. All these universes, unlimited number, Koti. Jasaprabha prabhavato jagadanna koti. Jagadanna means the universe. Koti. Many millions clustered together. That is material world. And beyond that material world, there is spiritual world, another sky. That is also sky. That is called Parabham. So, by your sense perception, you cannot estimate even what is there in the moon planet or sun planet, this planet, within this universe. How you can understand the spiritual world by speculation. This is foolishness. That Shastra says, Achinta khalu jivava natastarki no jujay. Achinta, which is inconceivable, beyond your sense perception. Don't try to argue and understand it and speculate. This is foolishness. It is not possible. Therefore, we have to go to the Guru. Tad vijnanatham sa gurumeva avivacche samitpani sutriyam brahmanishtam. This is the process.
Hare Krishna. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell.
How does everybody is feeling now?
Very nice.
Wonderful.
So please share with me what is it that stuck with you, what Srila Prabhupada was saying. Let's see. Srila Prabhupada has, his voice is so penetrating. And when he's speaking the absolute truth, because he's always the pastimes of the Lord are eternally manifest on the heart of a pure devotee. So one time Srila Prabhupada was told, how did you manage to write these books? And Prabhupada said, I did not write them. It was Krishna who wrote them. I simply became an instrument, and that's what it literally means, because only a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada can do this. And that's why do you think the Vaishnavas across ISKCON community are putting so much of emphasis on Srila Prabhupada books? Prabhupada, when he started the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, he wrote 7 purposes of ISKCON. And out of those 7 purposes, the 7th purpose says that in order to achieve all the above 6 affirmed purposes, ISKCON should engage in periodically writing and distributing books, and magazines. So Prabhupada's main thing was somehow or other this transcendental books have to go out. So that's why when we are saying, let's get Prabhupada's book out, let's get Prabhupada's books out, there is a weight in it. The reason there is a weight in it, because these are not normal books. Even if you keep these books in your house, let alone opening them, then to your life will become completely transformed. But somehow or other, Prabhupada said, even if somebody touches this book, they will make spiritual progress. So that is why when somebody like Ajamil, who was so fallen, and yet by just calling the name of the Lord in Sanket, the word Sanket is referred when you're not directly calling something. The word Sanket. Sanket means, let's say my son's name is Sridham and I call him Sridham, come here. Now I'm not calling one of Krishna's best friends Sridham. I'm just calling my son. But because the Lord name is so merciful that he's not even looking at my intention. You see, that's one thing is to Lord is Bhava Gai Janardhan. But even above the Bhav, the Lord is saying, forget about Bhav, you call my name and I'll come round running for you. So imagine how merciful our Lord is actually. So it's absolutely beautiful. Let's have some reflections on what is it that stuck in your mind, what Prabhupada spoke today. Um, because hearing from Srila Prabhupada, that's my humble request to you. Even if it means 10 minutes a day, try to hear Srila Prabhupada. Add these 10 minutes of Srila Prabhupada's hearing of a lecture apart from reading, and you will see transformation happening in your life. Start with 10 minutes. There is in YouTube, you call Wikipedia. My wife often plays it when we are eating prasadam or having breakfast sometimes, and she makes sure that none of us talk. We take a maun breath and we try to hear. So that's a very healthy exercise for 10 minutes to hear what Prabhupada is saying every day. And imagine for rest of your years, as we get closer to preparing for death, so much of nectar would have gone in from a pure devotee in our ears. So let's hear from all of you. What reflections do you have from Prabhupada this evening?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I think the message I got is that one cannot see through our eyes, which is imperfect. We see through our hearing, our quality of hearing. So
Yes.
seeing cannot ascertain hearing. You have to really pay attention and hear the real truth. So we are imperfect. Our seeing is imperfect. We're all imperfect. But we need to use our hearing to become perfect.
Very true. Very true, Mataji. Thank you. That is very profound. We cannot see, but when we hear, then we can see. You see,
Yes.
that's what Prabhupada is trying to tell us. What can we see with these eyes? Prabhupada is saying the moment electricity goes, your eyes are useless. What can you see? We are so much dependent on this modern facilities, but the moment one thing goes away, our life is completely bewildered. You see, that is why when you're living in a village, when the electricity is not there, life goes on. But when you're living in New York or London, and if electricity goes out, it's almost like people will get so depressed that they may want to even die, because our life is so much habituated with and so much dependent on this material advancement that we are not able to go beyond and see that there is a reality which exists beyond this material life. So thank you for sharing that, Mataji. Very helpful. Any other reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rupa Mataji.
I heard Prabhupada saying, don't speculate. So he put emphasis on not to speculate about, you know, like modern philosophers and scientists. It's like so much of information, and it's like, some people are saying there's no God. Some people are, in their own, science is advancing so much. We are dependent on technology so much. So it's too many things. It's all so much of speculation. So then, people just depend on their mind, whatever they are thinking that is right. So Prabhupada is saying, don't speculate. So here, the transcendental message, and that's proper knowledge to,
Yeah,
for perfection. So yeah.
absolutely. Thank you, Rupa Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Sandeep Prabhu is saying magnanimity of universe explained so simply using a coconut example. Stuck with me, and also example of a child's father of Shruti. So true, Sandeep Prabhu. That's how simple and beautiful our Srila Prabhupada is. He puts things so eloquently, truth spoken concisely, it's called eloquence. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is. He took the 12 commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam from different 12 acharyas, and he distilled them together in one commentary. Who but only Srila Prabhupada can do that for us. Nobody else can do that. It's so, so beautiful. Puja Mataji is saying senses are imperfect. We feel we are seeing, but if we know electricity, one cannot see. Very true, Mataji. Satya Mataji is saying the spiritual world is unfathomable, and that's why a guru's guidance is very essential. Yes, that's a very good point. We may even not speculate, but okay, we may take to the process and we may think, oh, I can do everything on my own. No, we can't. We have to depend on guru. We have to depend on spiritual master. Otherwise, we have so many ups and downs. Like in a school in India, you need a teacher who's able to hold your ears and say, come back on track. Because I mean, I'm not recommending that we do here. Otherwise, social services will come and catch hold of me, that what are you trying to tell people here? But my point is that in India, in that protective environment, if a father and mother does holds the ears, the child turns out to be a wonderful soul as he grows, because that training is given to the child, you see. So similarly, we have to be under training of a spiritual master who can hold our ears and say, Divyanam, you wretched dog, what are you doing in your life? Get serious about spiritual life. Do something about it. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Um, Rita Mataji is saying, Prabhuji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Where can I listen the lectures of Srila Prabhupada? So Mataji, my suggestion is that find out on krishnashopping.com. There is a beautiful tape, which I think it's not very expensive. It's, I think, 25-30 pounds or something like that. You get all lectures. It may be out of stock, but as soon as COVID, or you can check with Sacred Bidi, there is a Prabhupada box which comes with a USB or a little thing. All the lectures of Prabhupada are there in it. Or you can also go on to audio ISKCON Desire Tree. All Prabhupada lectures are there. YouTube, you can, but I often discourage people with YouTube unless you are completely fixed up, because you can find few things which may disturb you for that matter, because there are all sorts of things there on YouTube. But those are some of my recommendation. There is a lot of background noise. Vishalini Mataji, I'm not experiencing any background noise at the moment. Okay, so Rita Mataji is asking, can you repeat the coconut example? I want to show you another 5 minutes video before we go today. So Sandeep Prabhu, since it resonated with him so much, why don't you unmute yourself, Sandeep Prabhu, and tell us what Prabhupada was talking about coconut?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Good.
Krishna.
Thanks for giving this opportunity. What stuck with me was with this example, that just like there are layers in the universe, as soon as, for example, our atmosphere is about 64 kilometers, I believe. So there are layers, and within these layers we are living. And beyond these layers, there is further spiritual sky. There is Brahmlok, there is Shivlok, then there is Vaikunt Lok, and so on. So the whole point is, a person who's living inside a coconut can only see what is inside it. There is no idea. He can only see possibly coconut water, and if he raises his eyes, maybe the white on the top of the inside of a coconut. But then there are layers, and Prabhupada explained so beautifully with this analogy about universe, that how when we raise our head, we can just see material sky with stars and planets hanging. But there are layers and layers and layers, and we go beyond them. So that's what it is.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, and Prabhupada also gave a wonderful. Sorry, he also gave an example of Dr. Frog. That Dr. Frog carries on speculating of what's happening, and or maybe it's 3 feet long, or maybe the ocean is maybe 9 feet. Or come on, bro. I like the way such a childish way Prabhupada said, okay, come on, 10 feet. Prabhupada is so childish and so beautiful. So he say, okay, come on, 10 feet. So we can carry on speculating. The absolute truth is this, he's that, he has no personality, he has no transcendental name, but that is all speculation. So we are like Dr. Frog if we are taking that path. So it's a very wonderful time of the year for us to appreciate what Prabhupada has given and share it with the world. All of you are doing, but I will highly recommend, as you can see on the Sankirtan Forever group, yesterday I was reaching out to many devotees individually. I spent just maybe 2 or 3 hours trying to request devotees in our community to please come forward and take part in the campaign. We had so many devotees who joined in, Ajay Mukunda Prabhu. So many from this group have now added their names. And now we have 52 or 53 names on the list. We are only like another 55 names away for our 108 goal. And each of these devotees reaching out to their 10 friends, which is not at all a difficult task. So I will highly encourage you, please come forward and give it a try. Add your name and Prabhupada will empower you. So this is my last video I want to share with all of you before we go. Just give me 1 minute and we will directly hear again from Prabhupada this time for 5 minutes. Oh, no, I haven't clicked on the thing.
Owners. To help you through the current situation, we're offering you a free copy of Chris Cardell's book, 77 Ways to Get More Customers. This book shows you the best ways to get more customers into your business.
And if we execute that to our heart.
Were you able to hear the sound, Prabhus?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
we can.
All right.
And so, that is success. That is practical. I have no personal qualification, but I simply try to satisfy my Guru. That's all. My Guru Maharaj asked me that if you get some money, you print books. So, there was a private meeting talking, some of my important God brothers also there, it was in Radha Kunda. So, Guru Maharaj was speaking to me that since we have got this Bagbajar and Marble Temple, there has been so many dissensions. And everyone is thinking, we'll occupy this room or that room, that room. I wish, therefore, to sell this temple and the marble and print some book. Yes. So I took up this from his mouth, that he's very fond of books. And he told me personally that if you get some money, print books. Therefore I am stressing on this point. Where is book, where is book, where is book? So kindly help me. This is my request. Print as many books in as many languages and distribute throughout the whole world. Then Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase. Here, everyone is engaged to rise early in the morning for offering aratri to the deity. They are preparing nice food, they are decorating, making garland, so many engagements. They are going for some kirtan party, they are canvassing or selling books. 24 hours engagement. Therefore they are able to give up this sinful life. This kind of objection are always made by the atheist class of man. Even Jesus Christ was crucified. So this is a material world. You'll find always such nuisance class of men.
It must cost you a lot of money to go traveling around the world all the time.
Yes, we have got about 102 branches all over the world.
Where do you get the money?
Get money from God. We especially get money by selling our books. You have seen our books.
If you can't charge...
We are selling, according to Indian exchange, we are selling about 25 to 30,000 rupees worth books daily. We can spend all the money of the world. Unfortunately, you do not give us any.
So for the time being, the money will not be used for the construction in Mayapur. It will be used to print books.
Mayapur, they have already taken 1.5 lakh from me.
Now Gopal Krishna in India requested that BBT give him a loan of $160,000. In India, just this during the Mayapur festival, he requested a loan from a US BBT for $160,000, which would be used to construct the second residence building.
How will pay back?
His plan was that the American temples would purchase rooms, and over a period of 4 or 5 years, they would pay that money back. So is that still approved by you, by your divine grace?
Yes, I know that.
The only thing is that we will have to delay the loan, because for the next 3 months, all our money will be used to print these 17 books.
Castable books, then loan. However, we cannot hold up printing, that is not possible. This you must always keep in view. We are not going to, the surplus money we are going to pay. Not that at the cost of stopping printing. You must always keep it. When you require money for printing, there is no question of loan at temple. This will be our...
So you see, the reason I wanted to share that video of Prabhupada is that one thing is that you all the time hear from me, Mukunda Hari Prabhu, Vrindavan Chand Prabhu. Sorry, one second. Yeah, so what I was saying is you all the time here, Divyanam, you're talking about books all the time, man. Get a grip. Do talk about something else. So uh, I I cannot help but I feel indebted and I'll never be able to pay the debt back to Prabhupada. That's not possible. Even if I take millions of life, there is no question of me be able to even think of paying the debt back. But our acharyas tell us that, okay, now that we have inherited this legacy, the least we can do is to fulfill the desire of our founder acharya and all our guru parampara, is to give people what has been given to us actually. So that is the reason you see Prabhupada, he said, stop loans, stop building. Printing comes first because he knew he had faith in his spiritual master. He's saying, I took it from the mouth of my spiritual master. He's very fond of books. Look at the nishtha Srila Prabhupada has in the instructions of his spiritual master. And it is not just about distribution. It's about taking Srila Prabhupada books seriously, taking what has been given to us, holding them, putting on our head, hugging them. These are the most beautiful things which we are surrounded with at the moment. No other beauty can compare to these books, because when you open, you get accustomed, or you get oriented to the real beauty of the world, which is Srila Prabhupada books. And that is the reason I have signed up to become a fan of Srila Prabhupada books in whatever capacity I can. And that's why I've taken up this service to try and read, l- in some capacity, live and distribute Srila Prabhupada books. Of course, living and reading will always be, I can keep improvising, but we hear when you go out and share with others, you get purified quickly. So it's a very wonderful opportunity. That is why I beg all of you that please take part in the month of marathon in some capacity. We have launched a well-being package. I'm going to share the website again for all of your benefit. If you don't have Prabhupada books with you, order the Prabhupada books on this website. There is a well-being package. If you click on well-being tab, there are 4 books. You get a free 3-hour course on mental, spiritual, physical well-being. So you can introduce this well-being package to your colleagues at office, to your corporate companies, to your small businesses or friends and family. And by that also you can contribute and help in distributing Prabhupada books. Say that I've just come across this wonderful well-being package. It has helped me personally. Please order it. And those who can sign up to just try, I'm not even saying you have to, just try to reach out 10 people and they will help you give the best. The other day we all heard, so many one of you were online, from Radhesham Prabhu, who was saying the best kind of charity is the Shastra Dan. So we are not at all, we are feeling that this is the best place to give Srila Prabhupada books. So if that sounds like a good proposal to all of you, and you think Prabhupada has said this for a reason, and our movement is based on Srila Prabhupada books, then please help me help Srila Prabhupada. Let's make him smile. Let's make him proud. And let's show him that we are still trying to fulfill his legacy, which he's left it with us actually. So if you all agree with that, then please come forward, join the Sankirtan Forever group. If you don't have that link of the Sankirtan Forever group, message me. I'll add you to the group, or I'll send you the link. and and please add your name to the list to try 10. We still have around just less than 20 days to contact even one person every day. We can do it, not at all difficult. We have a phone, we have at least 300 contacts. We can reach out to 10 people out of 300 counter. How difficult is that? So that's my request to all of you today. Please come forward. Okay, Rupa Mataji is really interested in advertising well-being package. Thank you so much, Rupa Mataji. Please go to the website, click on well-being. You can just select that well-being link and send it to others. Until then, I wish you all very safe evening and a wonderful Krishna consciousness day tomorrow. And we will hear from Mukunda Hari Prabhu tomorrow. If you all agree with what I said, and if you felt there was some level of sincerity in what I'm trying to share and ask you, then please unmute yourself and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hello.
Please join the
Hare
Sankirtan
Krishna.
forever. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.